Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming on more Monster Hunter Wilds. We're here for Title Update 3 with the many little important changes and updates you might have missed. Many little changes, quality of life and updates were listed in the patch notes and not, as well as key information I think is going to be very helpful for your first day of play. So let's begin. Now obviously you follow the story to go against Omega in its normal form, but once you've done that, the thing that's going to be a lot more interesting and long term is the event quest, Planets, Protocol, Savage. So this is how you access it. And as you can see, it has a 3 cart limit, so obviously a bit more difficult. But more importantly than that, a 35-minute time restriction. So you're gonna run out of time if your output isn't good enough. Also, as a fun little detail, it is a 9-star, which means you will get RNG talismans. But, you know, it's not going to be the optimal farm target. It's going to be one of the hardest things in the game. Quick question for Omega then. Is the fight scaled for 4 players? Or a player and support hunters? Or 2 players? You know, does it change its health based on who's coming? Well, turns out it doesn't have any health scaling, which means if you're completely on your own or in a full party, it's going to have the same health. That's obviously a big red flag for solo play and a point of contention for its release, as they did this with the Behemoth collab event back in the day. And it's probably one of the biggest points of feedback at the time, players wanting to be able to true solo it and ultimately being able to, but it basically being a really difficult challenge compared to how the fight was designed. So, if you're playing solo, there's no reason not to bring support hunters. Not only will they hold aggro for you and deal damage that otherwise would not exist if you were in true solo, because the health scaling isn't affected by hunter count, they're only a good thing to bring. You may even worry like, oh well, if they can't, what about my carts being drained? They don't. If support hunters go down, it doesn't affect your cart numbers at all. They're quite literally made for this. And in this patch, they were heavily buffed in terms of survivability, damage, and even seemingly their AI. If you bring Alyssa, who's the lance in specific, she's going to be an ideal tank that's going to specifically attack the head to generate aggro, freeing up your ability to DPS the legs and so on. They've definitely taken the support hunters seriously for a solo player to be able to do this fight without relying on others or using SOS flares or anything. Then you got other benefits of like the new hunting horn user, Kai, with heals and buffs. To set this up, go to post a quest, go to settings, and then make sure you got max members to 4, only support hunters on, and then you pop an SOS flare at the start, or just have it automatically at the start so you don't have to do it whenever you're doing Omega, like me. And at the bottom here, you can select support hunters. So again, Alyssa, Kai, Mina, that is by far the strongest setup that I've looked at so far, and the one I'd recommend. To continue on the topic of that support hunter buff, be aware that they scale their power. So when they join you on an 8 and 9-star quest, they'll be even stronger. So let's say you go do that 9-star Omega the Savage version, the support hunters are going to be stronger there than in the normal version, which is interesting. With Title Update 3 as well, the support hunter selection that you pick is going to be permanently saved, since that was an awkward aspect of it where it just sort of like refresh it until now. When you've defeated Omega, you might be wondering, what's the initial talisman unlock or change that occurs? It's a big one. As you can see, it's the Chain Charm level 3, aka Burst. So on one talisman slot, you can get 3 levels of Burst, which is the equivalent of 3 level 3 decoration slots if you're going to go that way. So obviously, this is a big unlock, and that comes from just the normal version of Omega as well. As an important note to be aware of are the special mechanics of the training area with the new abilities, whether that's the Dark Knight stuff and the skills, or say the Pictomancy, which we'll all be using in the Omega fight. Once you have that soul unlocked from the main quest that you do, you just gotta make sure it's in your item pouch, kind of like, you know, Armor Charm, Power Charm, taking up a sort of dud slot. That allows you to use the spells. Then you just find it on the item bar and cast them. The special thing in the training area for this though, is that the cooldowns do not trigger while you're here. So where it should go on a 30-second cooldown, it just doesn't, and I can immediately use it and go straight into the next one, getting into the combo. And then as you can see, Mog of the Ages is immediately usable, where it normally, once you unlock it, has a 30-second cooldown. So if you want to practice aiming these and seeing what they do, you can do that in the training area with no cooldown. Pretty nice. Some things have changed in the hub. One of the main things you're going to be happy to hear about is the barrel bowling changes. They've added a new thing where you've got a daily high score count and new pin setups for barrel bowling in general. Something I didn't see in the patch notes that was changed for the reward to barrel bowling too is how players are now reporting nourishing extract as a reward, even on like lower B grade wins. Which is obviously fantastic because it gives us more ways to create mega armor and demon drug, which in the context of Omega is definitely necessary. Another new feature that they've introduced with Title Update 3, as you can see when you go to a quest counter, is the completion animations. What actually occurs when you finish. If there's any that you particularly enjoy, you can now completely control what happens, which is a bit of a random but nice bit of quality of life. Now obviously they've also introduced a couple things with that for obvious reasons. But at very least, there is this free new one, which is handing a memo to Alma. At least I don't remember seeing this one at all, so I'll put that one on. So as you can see, we've got prioritized animations that's just going to sort of pull from, which is pretty nice. But if you come to the DLC purchasing and go to other, you can see where this comes in. We have the new handler set and smithy set with a bunch of different animations for when you complete a hunt. So if this is something you care about, then it's a new option. Another new feature, a bit of quality of life for you, is when you come to a smithy and you're thinking about artian crafting. There's a shortcut that moves to the reinforcement screen directly from the forging artian weapon screen. So in this screen, we can pick something to craft. I'm just going to pick a random one to forge just for the sake of this example. We see that we've made it. And if I press the left stick in at the bottom left, you can see reinforce. I can immediately sort of pop over to this and have a look at that weapon to consider if I want to reinforce and how. Not something I think players will have been asking for, but something that, you can absolutely make use of, especially when there's new sorting functionality too. A welcome change, I think, in prep for Title Update 4, where the artian meta is going to be updated, at least so they've told us. Not a fun detail for quality of life is the fact that the supply items you get from the Sacra are actually now distributed at the start of a quest a lot earlier than before. So pretty quickly you should hear Alma or whoever call out like, hey, you got some supplies, pretty much closest to the beginning. Another bit of quality of life. There's now a shortcut that goes straight to equipment appearance directly from the change equipment screen. So why would you do this? Well, because of a new bit of quality of life that was added in this update. So let's say I'm playing these dual blades right now and I want to change the look that I have. You see the bottom right, I now can put the right stick in to immediately go to the change the visual setup. With this happily set up, what I can do is now link this to the equipment. So to do that, you need to come to the equipment screen, you go to your loadouts, I open the sub menu and you can see there's the new link equipment appearance. So if I click that, it tells me the list of all of my saved appearances that we currently have. So I'll link it to this one in particular, and then let's take this other dual blade set and do a different link just to show the clear difference. We'll go for Sharp Diver here. So as I've got this equipment set actually equipped, let's now swap to the fire set and see how it automatically changes to my layered set as soon as I swapped. Really cool feature instead of having to manually do this every time, especially when it comes to the weapons as well, which I was doing a lot. Next, I want to talk about the new event quests that are awesome. We have these 9-star event quests. Initially here we have Blangonga, but there's also Guardian, Fulgur Anjanath, and a Jarakan. So 9-star versions of tier 2 monsters are finally here. And essentially these are just tougher, much more dangerous and deadly versions of the normal fight, giving you an actual reason to go hunt a tier 2 monster. As you can see, it's unlocked at hunter rank 100 or higher. And from the special rewards, we do have heavy armor spheres and reinforcement materials, so they're worth doing. But there are other new permanent event quest concepts, like an armor sphere farm quest, such as Tongue-Tied here, wreaking havoc in Wyvria, and careening out of control. You can see the specific rewards for that. This very easy one gives you the lowest level armor spheres. Tongue-Tied will give you hard armor spheres, as well as wreaking havoc. If you want a different target, it's got a bit more interesting rewards. There's also an ore farm option that's permanently here now, Chemicus Nocturnus, against this Rumpompolo, and it gives you a selection of ore every time you complete the quest. We also have a permanent ingredient farm list now, though these will rotate each week. So right now we have Stalking Supper, Congalala Cravings, Romping Around, and if you look at the rewards, you can see that we get cheese-based rewards from this one, shroom-based rewards from this one, and shrimp-based rewards from this one. It's about time we have something like this to always have the ingredients we actually want to use without thought of how many we've got left. Right, there are new Palico changes that I think some people are definitely going to appreciate. So firstly, you come to the Palico menu, and then we have new options. Bring yourself to Palico Info and go to the next tab, and then you have all the support moves that it can use. And you can actually start to manually turn these on and off, so if there's any that you find irritating or gets in the way, you can turn them off. You can have your Palico entirely be about Vigor Wasp help and get rid of everything else. Maybe you find that its flashes are actually backfiring and getting in the way, turn that off. Having more of a classic Palico from the older games without all the special super moves. Be aware that they have made a change to Wrath from Above though. The Palico is going to cancel using this and focus on healing immediately whenever you need that. Which is nice because when it's in this cannon form, you might go down and not get a revive because it's in cannon form, or just not get a heal for ages because of that. Also, in the audio page, you have a new option, Palico Dialogue Frequency, allowing you to drastically change how much your Palico actually talks. So we have default, we have reserved, and story progression only, which is basically silent for normal gameplay. If the Palico sounds annoy you, this is now an option. Some nice multiplayer or online play quality of life has hit the game too. When creating a private lobby, you now have the option to allow hunter friends to join you. So if you're one of those hunter friends, to find a friend's lobby via being a hunter friend, you go to lobby search and then do the new hunter friend search in specific. There's also new options to link party settings as well, where you can allow other hunter friends to join on you or set a passcode as well. So it just makes it easier to join a friend without the faff of giving them codes and such, which I think is a nice change. Right, something that was promised when they introduced the item box outside of the 10 was further additions to the mechanics and options. So with it, we can now view loadouts as a new option. Here we can access item loadouts then, like looking at the item pouch and swapping between our loadouts. I also recommend you make an Omega specific one, as we'll discuss in the guide video for Omega specifically. But we can go into our ammo pouch. We've got our equipment loadouts, all of the ones we were looking at earlier here. We can mess with our equipment loadouts from this location, which is just really cool, as well as your shortcut options if you want to mess with the balance of that, which may be necessary with the new Pictomancer stuff, maybe the Dark Knight stuff. So some very welcome quality of life. Here's an awesome change to do with the arena. Lagiacrus can begin spawning here, so there's no water section or underwater swimming at all. It's going to be the fastest version of the hunt easily. But the requirement for this to begin happening is hunter rank 100 or higher, so yeah, you need that. But there is some special behavior in this location. There's also a chance for Lagiacrus to appear with other monsters here, even if you wouldn't normally see Lagiacrus with a monster that you would only find in the Scarlet Forest. Be aware that Lagiacrus can spawn in the arena in both regular and tempered versions, if you're wondering. And a fantastic change for Lagiacrus and farming him is that you can now make him spawn much more reliably. By being in the Scarlet Forest and resting to the time of plenty, it gives you a way to specifically refresh the forest with Lagiacrus likely to spawn in the time of plenty. Kind of like how you do inclemency for an Apex. So fantastic change there. Here's a new feature that's in Title Update 3 that people should hopefully appreciate, is the fact that quests can now spawn in as a monster pack as its specific quest target. So we have an example here with the Shagama. You can create a quest for multiple targets. As we can see, we have the Alpha de Shagama up. If we create the quest, you can see we have the Alpha and then regular with 2-star with it. It comes with special bonus rewards, like here we have a Beast Gem, but the thing that's guaranteed with these herd packs is the heavy armor spheres. So obviously super valuable for upgrading your gear, which is super important for Omega because you want to have that added defense. So I really encourage these hunts in particular. Your current herd pack targets are Deshagama here, then we have Hirabami in say the iceshard cliffs, and Yian Kutku in the Scarlet Forest. Hopefully they add more in the future, an interesting feature for wilds that never really turned out in the endgame. Well, it's finally here. And having another way to farm these armor spheres, very important. Right, here's some fantastic quality of life. Let's say you're doing something and you pop your mantle. And now it's on cooldown and you gotta wait for it to come back. Very annoying when you're trying to do perfect runs or really push yourself. Certainly as a speedrunner, so you gotta do some tool specialist faff or go in the train arena and reset when that was a thing. Well, there's some nice quality of life with this update. Now whenever you officially start on a quest, so as you can see my corrupted mantle is back and I can immediately use it. What a relief that is. Be aware that this doesn't quite work when you're just doing general exploration. You need to start an actual hunt, an actual quest, and then that refreshes it. But it's still a fantastic change for your general gameplay and certainly your speedrunners. Next, we have more quality of life in regards to pop-up camp destruction. Monsters are no longer going to actively seek out pop-up camps to attack, which is nice, meaning it's still going to happen, but it's going to be a lot less common. You can see that this monster threat level for different locations has now changed. The idea of a dangerous camp isn't really a thing anymore. What we now have is caution, insecure, that kind of thing, just to give you an indication that it has changed. And it's basically a lot more reliable, even if it's in a, quote, dangerous location. So maybe consider changing some of your pop-up camp locations for some more convenient places, since they'll be destroyed a lot less. But yeah, there you have it. That's my overview of some of the smaller, lesser known things that are going to be impactful in Title Update 3. I hope this was interesting and useful to you. And if you guys have anything you'd like to add to the topics we talked about today, or maybe, suggest something else that maybe I didn't mention today, new stuff in Title Update 3 that's important, let us know in the comments. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.